Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivarat Hari. Yasodanandan Brajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivarat Hari. Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajacharya Stotra Sattasi Simad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Syama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Yamuna Devi Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. His Grace Vaduraji Prabhu Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. At the end of this class, different devotees will speak about the greatness of the service of Vaduraji, who is today's Nitya Seva sponsor and who is still remembered as an integral part of this temple. So we are hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, which is entitled Creation. We're in chapter 5, Narada's instructions on Srimad Bhagavatam for Vyasadeva. Today's verse number 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tvam Paryatan Arka Iva Trilokim Antas Charo Vayur Ivatma Sakshi Paravare Brahmani Dharmato Vratai Snatasya Me Nunam Alang Vichakshva Twamparyatan Arka Ivatri Lokim Antascharo Vayor Ivat Masakshi Puravare Brahmani Dharmato Vratai Snatasya me nyunam alang vichakshva. Kindly chant. Ladies, Tvam, your goodness, Paryatan, traveling, Arka, the sun, Iva, like, Trilokim, the three worlds, Antachara, can penetrate into everyone's heart. Vayu Iva, as good as the all-pervading air. Atma, self-realized. Sakshi, witness. Paravare, in the matter of cause and effect. Brahmani, in the absolute. Dharmataha, under disciplinary regulations. Vratai, in vow. Snatasya, having been absorbed in. Me, mine. Nyunam, deficiency. Alam, clearly. Vichakshva, search out. Please repeat. Like the sun, Your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds. And like the air, you can penetrate the internal region of everyone. As such, you are as good as the all-pervasive Supersoul. Please, therefore, find out the deficiency in me. Despite my being absorbed in transcendence, under disciplinary regulations and vows. Purport by His Divine Grace ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Transcendental realization, pious activities, worshiping the deities, charity, mercifulness, nonviolence, and studying the scriptures under strict disciplinary regulations are always helpful. Trinadapi sunichena tarariva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari hare nama hare nama hare nama eva kevalam kalau nastyeva 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 gatiranyata. I begin by reading to you the translation to this verse as it appeared in the original Bhagavatams that came with Prabhupada from India, the brown Bhagavatams. It has a special sweet flavor to it. Your goodness can go around everywhere in the three worlds, like the sun, and can penetrate into the internal region of everyone, as good as the air. And as such, you are as good as the all-pervasive Supersoul. Kindly, therefore, find out the deficiency in me, although I am absorbed in transcendence, under disciplinary regulations and in vow. I begin by relating today's verse to Arjuna's position in Bhagavad Gita. Karapanya dosho pahata swabhava prichchami twang dharma samudacheta yats sreyasyan nichchitang bruhitan me shishyastehang shadvimang twang prapanam. Arjuna made this submission to Krishna, saying, I am being afflicted by weakness, the fault of being miserly. And since my consciousness is showing the characteristics of bewilderment, I am asking you, Krishna, please tell me confidently what will be in my ultimate best interest. What is my duty now? I want you to act as my instructor, and I am your surrendered disciple. A guru is necessary. Like Arjuna, everyone is perplexed about his or her best course of action. Nobody can decide by oneself. Even a physician, when sick, does not devise one's own treatment. One calls for another physician because one's brain is not in order. How can one prescribe the right medicine for oneself? Similarly, when we are perplexed and cannot find any solution, at that time the guru is required. It is therefore essential for everyone to surrender to a guru, since in our present existence we are all perplexed. Arjuna represents the perplexed position of the materialistic person. So under the circumstances, a guru is required to give us real direction. Now Arjuna selected Krishna as his guru. Arjuna did not go to anyone else because Arjuna knew, I can't find any other means to pacify me. Krishna is the only one. The purport is that, like Arjuna, we should also accept Krishna as Guru, who can instruct us in how to get relief from our perplexed position. So Krishna is the Guru not only of Arjuna, but for everyone. And here is the proper way to ask for knowledge. One does not approach the spiritual master with a challenging spirit. One should also be inquisitive to understand spiritual science. It is not that one considers oneself superior to the Guru. One must first find a Guru to whom one can surrender. And if this is not possible, one shouldn't waste one's time. By surrendering to the proper person, one can very quickly come to understand transcendental knowledge. Now I shift to the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. There's a nice little section in the first chapter. A person interested in transcendental knowledge must therefore always directly and indirectly inquire about it in order to know the all-pervading truth. Prabhupada's purport. Those who are serious about the knowledge of the transcendental world, which is far beyond the material cosmic creation, must approach a bona fide spiritual master to learn the science both directly and indirectly. One must learn both the means to approach the desired destination and the hindrances to such progress. The spiritual master knows how to regulate the habits of a neophyte disciple, and therefore a serious student must learn the science in all its aspects from the spiritual master. Then the next text in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jive sakshat nahi tate guru chaitya rupe. Shiksha guru hoy Krishna mahanta swarupe. Since one cannot visually experience the presence of the Supersoul, he appears before us as a liberated devotee. Such a spiritual master is none other than Krishna himself. Prabhupada's purport. It is not possible for a conditioned soul to directly meet Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if one becomes a sincere devotee and seriously engages in devotional service, Lord Krishna sends an instructing spiritual master to show one favor and invoke one's dormant propensity for serving the Supreme. The preceptor appears before the external senses of the fortunate conditioned soul, and at the same time, the devotee is guided from within by Chaitya Guru, Krishna, who is seated as spiritual master within the heart of the living entity. Then another verse from this same section. Ishwara Sarupa Bhakta Tar Adishtan. Bhaktera Hridaye Krishnera Satata Vishram. A pure devotee, constantly engaged in loving service of the Lord, is identical with the Lord, who is always seated in one's heart. So, just like in Bhagavad Gita, the turning point in the Bhagavad Gita is that verse I quoted, Karpanya Doshopahata, where Arjuna says, Shishyaste ham shadi mang twang prapanam. That is the turning point of the Bhagavad Gita. Up until that time, Arjuna and Krishna, their relationship was one of, you could say, equal friendship. But when Arjuna speaks that verse, everything changes. He says, I am your disciple. I am a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Krishna, he is equal. If you want to treat Krishna as friend, Krishna will be your best friend. If you want Krishna to be your enemy, he'll be your worst nightmare. It all depends how you want to relate to Krishna. Years ago, Archita and I would go to this one university every year, Cal State LA, Mrs. Wilson's classes. And one time, I don't know why, but one time I had to do it on my own. I don't know what the reason was, but it was my shot, all by myself. So I forget exactly what the topic she requested, but I explained to the class that the atheist, the demon, they don't want a relationship with Krishna. Now, for those who want a relationship with God, there are 5 ways that can happen. The first, Shantaras, where the relationship is one of awe, one of rapture. There's no service, but you have great, deep appreciation for God. Like you see sometimes the bumper sticker, God is awesome. That's your Shantaras. Simply absorbed in the greatness of God. Now, if you want to proceed further, you can enter Dasya, service. And interestingly enough, Krishnadas Kaviraj, in explaining rasas, he does not accept Shantaras. He begins from this Dasya stage, service. Then, if you would like to go higher, then you can have friendship with God. You want to go higher? Parental affection. And if you want to go to the highest stage, Madhurya, conjugal rasa. Krishna is prepared to reciprocate depending on how the devotee wants. So here, you could say, is the turning point. Vyasadeva finds himself in a dilemma. He has done so much service. Unbelievable amount of service. He's a incarnation. Bhagavan Rishi. He has done tremendous service. But something is pinching. Just like now that I'm getting older and older, every day there's something bugging me, something pinching me. Even as I started the class, I was getting this nerve. Got to itch it, but it doesn't go away. This is getting worse and worse every day, little more. Krishna is telling me, you sure you want another material body, huh? You want another one? Or are you willing to become serious and achieve your spiritual body? That's the lesson. Krishna is going to keep doing it. You want another material body, huh? You want to come back and enjoy? Be a rock star, huh? This is what you're going to have to deal with. Like Prabhupada used to say, bad bargain. This material body is a bad bargain. Nobody wants a bad bargain. Business. You want a good bargain. But because we have a material body, it's a bad bargain. Once there was a discussion that how we to understand that we're suffering in this material world. So somehow or other I figured out months later. Perhaps I've read something in Prabhupada's purports, but I got my answer. Just like right now we are free, right? We're not in jail. We're not incarcerated. We have freedom. It's limited, but we have some freedom. But if you are sentenced to jail, first thing that happens, you get a certain kind of dress that designates you are criminal. Now you're in jail. Your freedom is greatly restricted. And you, in jail, you're thinking, when will I get out? Although they have said there are some, they don't ever want to get out. Yes, this is they've got a scheme going on in the jail, and they live better in the jail than they would outside. But if you and I were incarcerated, we would want to extricate ourselves as quickly as possible. Why? Because we are aware of the fact, the difference between life in the jail and life outside. So that same example, that the prisoner has a particular uniform. He can't dress like this. He has that jumpsuit. Was it an orange jumpsuit? Whatever it is. That designates prisoner. We are no different than that. You have a material body, prisoner. From Lord Brahma down to the microscopic germ. You got a material body, prisoner. You are already suffering because you should be free. Prabhupada even mentions here in first canto, free spirit, light and free, something like that. Real freedom is in the spiritual world. So right from the get-go, we are in a suffering position. Now, next phase is that there are different degrees of punishment, like in the prison. When it just so happens, when filthy, stinking rich people go to jail, they go to a different kind of jail than the drug criminals and rapists. It's a different kind of jail. For some of these filthy, stinking rich people, going to jail is like being in a country club. Welcome to your American so-called justice system. And then those who are really, really evil, they get that solitary confinement. They get to see the sun maybe an hour a day, then back. So even in the jail, there's different degrees of punishment and suffering. So in the same way, the demigods are also prisoners, but they're living a different kind of prison life. Very nice. Descriptions of the heavenly planets. Our streets here, they're made of asphalt, concrete. But you read in the 8th canto, Indra's streets, gold, jewels, diamonds, lapis lazuli. Big difference, huh? Concrete jungle, heavenly planets. Here on earth, it's not too bad and it's not too good. Stuck in the middle with you. That's earth. And then lower species, animals, plants, reptiles, aquatics. That's even more punishment. And then, even in each category, every day, some people, part of the day, things are good, and then something happens, goes bad. So this suffering and pain is increasing, decreasing, increasing. And when there's relief, like now my heel is not bothering me, and I'm thinking, oh, now it's good. So when there is a release from your current state of suffering, you think, I'm enjoying. No, you're not. You're still suffering. You're still a prisoner. You're not in the situation that you could be. Free in the association of Krishna and his devotees. So Vyasadeva, very, very vidvan, very learned, very expert, which he honestly appraises himself. He says, I've done all these things. I'm like, what does it say? It says, under disciplinary regulation. He's a real spiritual person. But he wants his guru to find out the deficiency because he knows something is lacking. Just like you go to the doctor. The doctor may say, oh, you have this particular vitamin deficiency. Like every 4 months I have to get blood test, every 4 months. And then they have all the things, every little thing. It's like a big piece of paper like this. And then they check off. And then every so often the doctor will say, not good numbers here. Come and see me in 2 weeks. So the doctor may say, you are deficient in iron. So Vyasadeva knows something is deficient in me. Something is missing. Now he goes to his guru. I want you to find out not the external cause. No, the root cause. The root cause, that's the key. Ephemeral, external, no, it'll come back. Just like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I got a bee sting. And the bee sting really got infected. So my wife was saying, hey, you better go to the doctor. Don't fool around. I was thinking, it's just a... She goes, no, go. So when I went, the doctor said, yeah. He said, bees are very dirty. And he said, it's a good thing you came in when you did, because you might have had to go to the hospital. So I was like, whoa, from a bee sting? So I have to take this antibiotics, and it does a whole number on my stomach. And my whole insides, just everything tastes sour. Fortunately, the last pills are today. Thank you. But the idea was, you have to root out the infection. So in the same way, Vyasadeva wants Narada, his guru, root out, get to the root. I remember Brooklyn Temple, I got my first boil. I went to the devotees, I said, what is this I got? What is this? And they said, oh, you have a boil. I said, what's a boil? So I believe it was my godbrother, Gora Haridas. Remember Gora Hari? And he said, we're going to have to pop it. So first, we're going to give you this tea, this brown tea. It was actually golden, my first introduction to golden seal. Oh my God. I was thinking, am I drinking stool? What is this stuff? But he made me drink that tea. Then they got a hot bottle. Took a hot bottle and they put it on the boil so that it would rise up. And then I remember squeezing. Oh, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. But he kept squeezing and squeezing till all this pus came out. He goes, I have to do that because if you don't do it, it's going to spread throughout your body. You're going to die. Bhakta Nick's going to die. I just joined the temple. So he was squeezing, really squeezing, making sure everything kept. I was, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Same idea. Get to the root. And that is the essence of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we're getting to the root of the original problem. The original problem is that I rebelled against Krishna. I became a criminal because of my rebellion against Krishna. So this chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the way to get to the root of the problem. Because as Prabhupada explains to us, O energy of God, Mother Hara, O God, Krishna, Rama, please engage me in your service. That's it. That is our prayer, and that is how we get to the root of all problems once and for all. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So, do we have a microphone for Swavas Prabhu? Okay. So, Viduraji was a very, very good, well-wishing friend to me. I believe my relationship with him started sometime 1994. Vidura, he was a transcendental personality. He had quite an amazing personality. What did I like about him? You could not budge him. When he said something, when he wanted something, that was it. No arguments. And I remember when I had my office, he and his blessed wife, they came and they said, we want to live in the temple. I said, Vidura, you're living with your son. It's such a nice place. It's like a mansion. Nope. And even Mandari also spoke. No. We want to live in the temple. I was amazed. But your place is such a nice place. It's Krishna conscious. There's no Maya. All their needs would be taken care of for life. Nope. They wanted to live in the temple. And not only that, how old was Vidura in 95, 96? Like how old was he? 78 years old. He wasn't coming to retire. He came to do service. This is exemplary. He assisted me in my Namahat programs. He was my pujari. If anybody tried to interfere with that service, they would get this look. That was his service. He was the Namahat Puja, and he took it so seriously. Did everything just like we do in the temple. A man of very nice, strong principles. Very, very moral. And he told me that before finding ISKCON, he was initiated in the Pushti Marg. So he was chanting Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. How many rounds was he doing? He was doing 64 rounds of this Pushti Marg mantra. And he was preached to by Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And Tamal Krishna, very smart, said, you don't have to stop, but you have to add 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and Vidura accepted. And when he was living across the street, he was still doing 64 rounds of Shri Krishna and 64 rounds Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But Prabhu, it's so hard to chant 16 rounds. Tell it to Vidura. He'll straighten you out in 1 second. So I learned many things from Vidura. How to be tough, strong. All right, let others speak.
All right, thank you, Nirantara Prabhu. So, we got a little history here about Viduraji, and you mentioned his background, at least in where he was born and raised in the Balgopal Bhakti, the Pushti Marg. And he took initiation in that sampradaya. And his wife Manjari also was like that. Is that right? Yes. Yeah. So they lived together. Their relationship was really about bhakti, about Krishna consciousness from the very beginning. And they got married very youthful. How old? How old were they when they got married?
They were like 16.
16 years old. So they were very dedicated. And Vidura took first initiation in 1982 from Tamal Krishna Goswami. And then later on in the 80s, he took Brahminical initiation from Tamal Krishna Goswami. I met Viduraji at the Houston temple, at the Houston airport. In those days we used to have temple presidents meetings in Dallas, actually, in Dallas, Texas. And I remember meeting Vidura on, waiting in the concourse there for the flight. And they saw me. I didn't know them at all, but they were just two little kind of like people. They were little people. They were sitting together, very cute actually, looked very nice. They were all bundled up. And they were sitting in the chairs waiting for the airplane. And I saw them, I went to the counter, I saw them, and they were looking at me. And I was looking at them, I didn't know them. I didn't say much to them, I just said Hare Krishna. And then I remember that as soon as I said that, then they started looking at me. And I sat behind them. I recall that Viduraji probably would turn around every 2 or 3 minutes looking at me and laughing. And Vidura Prabhu had some pretty thick glasses. His vision wasn't so great. So him turning around looking at me like that periodically, I got a real kick out of it. And I kept smiling and folding my hands, Hare Krishna. And he just, I don't know, he was just really into it. So then we began talking, and he asked me where I was in LA and all this. So yeah, he was going back, and I recalled that he was on the flight with me. They sat up closer to in the plane. I sat in the back, and through the whole flight, he'd turn around and be looking at me. It was this kind of a thing that we had. He kept looking at me, and it went on like that for a few hours, 2-3 hours. And he'd wave at me and everything, and I'd wave at him. And that's what our relationship started like, looking at each other. And so it was nice. And then I remember when he did want to move into the temple, I was very cautious. I said, they're very old. You know, you're in your 70s, it's very difficult. And we had looked for a ground floor apartment for him, and we found one in 3765. And I was the same way as you were, Nirantara Prabhu. I thought, wow, what are you leaving that nice place? You know, there's a temple there, there's everything there that you would need to keep yourself in the mood of Krishna consciousness. But he was determined that he wanted to live in New Dwarka. But there was a reason, and that reason was he wanted to get on that altar. He wanted to get on the altar. He didn't tell anybody in the beginning, kind of kept it to himself. But really, his real goal was to get on that altar and do puja work.
Most famous, most beautiful deities.
Rukmini Dwarkadish. He lived for it. He just thought about it all the time. And finally, he got on that altar. I had to pull some strings for him to get him up there because, Rabindranath Prabhu, he was very kind of cautious about letting someone that age and getting hurt, which was very easy to do. And he didn't see so well, so there's steps. We were very concerned about that, but Vidura didn't care, as you said. Once he had his mind made up, he didn't care what you had to say.
The railing was installed because of him.
Yeah, the railing was installed. There's a railing on the little stairs there, that it was installed because of him, but he was determined. And it only ended when it came to the point where he was being a little bit negligent on the altar with the fire and stuff. We became very concerned that he could get hurt, seriously hurt, or even, die. So we finally had to ask him, he can't go on anymore. And that was a very painful situation for him. It took him a couple of years to get over it, literally. Yeah, he fell down once too, yeah. And so we had to do that, and he was really, really despondent. I mean, I was amazed how despondent he was, that he couldn't do that service anymore. But, he still was very blissful. He'd still come to the temple regularly, greet the deities. We'd go to his home on a regular basis and have lunch. And eating lunch at Vidura's home was just it was a real...
Wiped you out the rest of the
Oh yeah, the rest of the day I was crawling around, literally. And Manjari, I was in my 50s, but she still thought I was like a kid, like 16. And she fed me like I was 16. Yeah, she wouldn't let you walk out of there. And then, Vidura, he'd eat like a little sadhu. And then he'd look at my plate and says, oh, you don't eat nothing, what's the matter with you? This went on constantly. And he'd eat like a little sadhu, like a little yogi, 2-3 things on his plate. And you'd have a mountain, just like a pile. And you'd say, oh, God, what's the matter with you? And, you just didn't know what to think. Just kept eating. Although it was very blissful. It wasn't that it was horrific. You just kept eating because it was so wonderful. Manjari was an expert cook. She was extremely good cook. And eating at her home was just absolutely ecstatic.
One quick story?
Sure.
So one time here, when they had their apartment, I think you were invited, but you left. So it was me, you, Giriraj Swami, and Radhanath Swami. They were feasting us, right?
Yeah.
You had to go because, you're a temple president, you got things to do. But like you were saying, because their trick was, now you got to eat from my hand. Then Manjari would, no, you got to take this from my hand. So you would wind up eating 10 times more than you could do. So Giriraj Swami and Radhanath Swami said, can we take rest? So Vidura said yes. So he took us to the back room, and there was the three of us. I said, I'm going to join in too. So in a little room, there was Giriraj Swami on the floor, Radhanath Swami on the floor, and me. And we took a good 40-minute nap.
Jai. Yes, and he loved it. Vidura loved it. And Vidura was known to be very, 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 very regulated. He'd get up very early in the morning, like 2 a.m. in the morning, and begin his program, chanting by 2:30 in the morning. Very, very dedicated. And as we were saying, 64 rounds a day of just the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And what to speak of his other mantras that he would chant. Tamal Krishna Goswami really appreciated them. They were very well loved by him. He really took a lot of pleasure in coming to visit when he could visit. He took prasadam. On several occasions I ate prasadam at their home with Tamal Krishna Goswami. They were a great inspiration for their whole family, the whole Mehta family. Guruji Vidura, he was the inspiration for Krishna Prema here. And his wife, they became inspired by their father to become devotees in the Krishna conscious movement. To this day.
Continuing to be inspired.
Yeah, he influenced them. It was beautiful. Remember when you lived in your older house? I remember we went there, and Viduraji was like staunch, like he was hardcore. He was really, but not when we say hardcore, we don't mean weird. We mean like just really a devotee, just very like a no-nonsense kind of person.
Yeah,
And
you were surprised, like, wow,
yeah,
this guy is so serious.
so serious, yeah,
Because usually as we get older, we get a little more slack. And
yeah,
not him, man. He was
yeah,
like,
definitely. And when he walked in, like you said, he was your pujari, and when he walked into his pujari, everybody paid attention. He walked in somewhere, people would pay attention to him because he was really like that kind of individual. He had a certain strength about him. And although he was older, which is, kind of a negative thing for someone to be taken seriously these days, but when he would walk in and do his puja for you and your program, your Namhat program, everybody loved it. And everybody paid attention. And he made sure everybody did the proper thing, as you said.
He added a nice quality to the Namahat, made the Namahat program come off like this is not fun and games.
Exactly, not fun and games. It was serious.
No nonsense.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Dura, no nonsense.
So yeah, we're remembering. I think it should be said that I was pretty amazed that Viduraji lived a very simple life. He could have lived a lot more elaborate life, as we mentioned, and much more easy and everything. But he took the hardship of coming here, staying here, and his income was very minimal. But even out of that minimal income, I remember on several occasions being in his home, and I mentioned to him about Nitya Seva. And just, kind of like nonchalantly, he'd ask me about it. And I'd explain to him what it was. And I had no idea whatsoever that he was actually thinking about being a Nitya Seva donor. I had no idea. And then after he passed away, then Krishna Prema came to me. And he told me this. And I was just so shocked. Really, very, very surprised that he was thinking in those terms. And it was heartwarming, because an individual who lived a very simple life, but his meditation was not just this life, but his meditation was the next life. And he showed it by what he did, by his activities and, wanting to be, give the mercy of Rukmini Dwarkadish for eternity. Amazing, really good character. So we want to remember Vidura Prabhu today on this wonderful occasion of his Nitya Seva sponsorship.
We're running out of time. I mean, I could also speak about Vidura for the rest of the day practically, but it's been stressed so far about his serious side. And in today's verse, we had this word dharmataha, under strict disciplinary regulations. So he was like that, very strict. We used to have the three-man RT at Mangal Artik, and we were on the same crew. And although he was far elder than the rest of us, he would be the first one in the pujari room and make the trays for the other pujaris, which was exemplary. When other 3 men crew were there, you were on your own. You better make your tray on time or else. But Vidura, when he was on your crew, you didn't have to worry because you knew he would be the first one in the pujari room and he would make all 3 trays happily, not grudgingly. So it's been stressed how serious he was. But he also had a very jovial side, which is also something that we can learn from. That, yes, you can be serious. We have some very serious devotees in this community. Practically, they always have their serious face on, practically glaring at the world. But Vidura was a very, very serious devotee, but he had a very jovial side also. He knew how to puncture your balloon, your ego. He would notice everybody, and then he would call me and say, Arjita, you see that person? Da, 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 da. And he would tell me something about that person. And we would both laugh like anything, because he was right on. He could see right through the facade, and he knew this person was like that, and he would tell you something funny about them, and you would just laugh like anything. So he was a very, very jovial character also. And because he was so serious, sometimes people didn't get it, because they expect him to be like very serious, but he would poke fun at something, and they would be, huh? What? They didn't get it because he was, so serious. So both things have to be there. And the other example that they set that all householders should follow is feed each other. In their old age, they were always eager to make lunch or something for someone, even for strangers. Like when my mother would come to visit and stay a few days, Manjari would say, your mother's here. I'm going to make lunch for her tomorrow. I said, no, you don't have to. I'll take her to go visit. No. She's in town only for a few days. She has to come to our place to eat, like that. So they were always eager to feed other householder couples and even devotees who didn't live here. So this is a good example also. Sometimes devotees are, want to take somebody out to a restaurant. Why? Cook at home. Make something nice. Offer to, and like that. Exchange. Part of the loving exchange is 6 exchanges, just giving prasadam and accepting prasadam. Sometimes because we have govindas, we forget that. But, once in a while, you should invite another couple or other devotees, even the brahmacharis, and feed them.
Is that a hint?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. That is that, yes, he was very jovial because I and Vidura, we would laugh all day long. It was just phenomenal. We'd have this kind of thing where we see each other in the temple room and we start laughing. And then I'd get next to him and start joking. It was just, he was one happy person all the time. And
he had his seat.
And
he had his own seat there.
That's right, his own seat. Yeah, it was constant joking. But it was in such an innocent, wonderful way that it just gladdened your heart. And we used to have so much fun. And sometimes Manjari would be involved in our joking and laughing at the house. And we sometimes would be laughing for 1 hour solid. It was just phenomenal. And it was about the most silly things, but it made so much sense to us because really it was very friendly, very devotional, and just very loving. So that's what made it so beautiful.
Just a few words. Vidurji was not only a very loving and strict father, but he was also my guru. He taught me from childhood how to wake up early in the morning. In Bombay, we used to not having water in the home. So we used to fetch water from the downstairs. So he used to wake me up. Get up. You have to get up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. And then we used to go down 3 stories, and me and my brother, we used to fetch up the water for the whole day because that's Bombay's life. So at that time, he would always play some nice bhajans. In Bombay, there are certain radio stations that always in the morning, in Marathi, in Hindi, very nice bhajans. So I remember growing up like that, like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, there are nice chanting going on about Krishna service. And all throughout his whole entire life, he was always a Krishna devotee. No other demigods. My mother also, she didn't believe in Shiva, Ganesh. We had pictures, but we didn't believe in kind of worshipping like religiously. Mainly our whole drive was Krishna service. And he had a dream that I can share with you that I think most of you probably don't know about that. But he went to Dwarkadish, original Dwarkadish in Dwarka. in his 30s. And after that, in his late 50s, he had a dream that eventually you want to go there and worship Dwarkadish. And being in Pushti Margiya, the religion is, Sampradaya is really nice and authentic, but he could not get any avenues to worship Dwarkadish. So when he came here, he saw Dwarkadish and he was overwhelmed. He says, Krishna brought me here and he put me in touch with Nirantara Prabhu, Savas Prabhu, Archita Prabhu, and the devotees of such caliber. So he says, there is a reason for it. And after his back surgery, he says, I want to stay here. No matter what happens, I want to stay with you. I'll stay here, surrender myself 100%. And that's what he did. So he was a great committed, individual, and my Shiksha Guru, as well as my Varta Pradarshik Guru. If he was not here, I would not have been initiated. I guarantee you that. Because I was in so much Maya. Even right now I'm in Maya. So you can imagine, he did a great thing for me to uplift me and my family. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Nirantara Prabhu K. I was going